LBR 187. Y'all hear the music 2K in the background. How everybody doing?
You heard it through the mic.
Good. It feels good to be back. It's been a minute.
Let me issue an apology real quick to our fans. Like the people that regularly watch us every single Saturday. Our apologies for being late. We spent 15 minutes checking each other. And I'm not sure if you can get that on any other podcast. So that's why we're late. I thought I would owe that to the people that's watching.
Who are we? The Commanders. What up, shit? That's your
Oh yeah, that's about right.
Let's go.
Did you put that next to
Oh my God, no, we living over here.
Let's be real. Yeah.
Caught him the 6'3" mafia.
I was really hyped before until we ran that promo video, and I remember about that terrible Memphis loss a week ago. I just got reminded of that damn loss.
About a week ago. We showed talked about that last week.
Again, I am not gonna say anything. I'm not gonna say anything.
Oh no, say what you gotta say. This is to get it off the chest.
I feel that Memphis need to shut the hell up as far as talking about trying to play Tennessee and need to go holler at Vandy before they trying to talk talking about playing Tennessee.
Hey.
I love the city. You know, I love Memphis like the next person.
Apparently not.
If you talk about college football, if you talk about college football, you try to be some in-state champs. Go holler at Vandy first.
I need that shirt. So I'm just recognizing that shirt. I need that shirt.
Right.
Now,
that's a nice
Trevor. Now, Trevor, before I let you come in my school like that, your energy seems a little off because where was this energy a year or two ago?
The energy a year or two ago was still there. It's still there.
It may well be.
Now, I will say this. I
believe
now. Let me go on record because I've said this plenty of times. I believe the two schools should match up. It should be a homecoming game. I do believe it. But let's pump the brakes right now. Let's pump the brakes because I'm still hearing this right now with everything that's going on with Memphis. Let's cool it right now. Let's make sure Memphis can get their act together. Then we can start talking.
I would have took it another direction. I would have said, don't talk about being in Big 12 like everybody was doing throughout that game, talking about we should have been in Big 12 instead of Houston. Then proceed to blow the lead to the team that's going to the Big 12. Like,
yeah.
Let's move on. Let's move on. Yeah. Positive energy today.
Positive energy today.
Keep positive, man. Shout out to Ryan, man. Let's go Vols. That's exactly where we're about to go. Hopefully it stays positive after the game today. But you know what? We're gonna be turned 5-0 right now. I'm not like I'm about to say I was expecting this. I'm not shocked by it because I did feel like we had the team, but we never beat Florida, so that was still a game that I just felt like we had to get past. And once we got past that, felt like we were in a good running. So Tennessee, Alabama today. The line is 8.5. Alabama is favorite. So what y'all got? Start with Trevor.
Yeah, to your point, man. I was not expecting the Vols to be 5-0. I do realize we did have a good team. I did say that Hidden Hooker should be on the Heisman watch before the season even started. I think a full season of the Josh Heupel has proved to work wonders for the Vols. There are some concerns. I'm not going to lie and say that because there have been, a couple of games that Tennessee probably should have lost. The Florida game for one, that's the one I'm not gonna cap there. And then the Pittsburgh game. For some reason, in the Pittsburgh game, Tennessee just took the foot off the gas, and then the Florida game, I don't know what happened with our defense. They just decided not to show up. And then to Sharky's point, previously we used to talk about the Titans. The Vols having trouble getting off the field on third down. Now, it wasn't as evident last week against LSU, but that could be an issue this week against Alabama. I'm not going to even lie. Whether Bryce Young is playing or not, Tennessee on the defensive side of the ball has to do a good job of getting off the field on third down. They got a decent front seven. They can get to the quarterback. They can get home, but it's just getting off the field on third down. I have no issues of what they can do on the offensive side of the ball. With Hidden Hooker, I believe Cedric Tillman is supposed to be back this week. for the Vols, so that's another added weapon. Jabari Small in the backfield doing his thing. So I have no issues with this offense today. Tune Trevor says the line is 8.5. I will take Tennessee as the underdog there because I think if Bama does win this game, this will be relatively close. However, I got the Vols pulling off this win by 10 by a score of 38-28.
You talking to somebody that which both teams lost. You know what I'm saying? I don't care for Bama. I don't care for Tennessee. That orange is blinding me so early in this morning. It ain't even 8:30 here, and I got to look at this highlight. And I'm just playing, Trevor.
But don't put it on College Game Day.
Well, I ain't gonna count, man. I ain't watching.
Don't put it on College Game Day because boy, you gonna see nothing more orange because they in right now.
I ain't watching college football game all year, and I don't plan on watching today. But salute to you and you and Shark Team to you. Salute to you guys. I'm gonna keep it real. Salute to y'all team. I hope y'all at least put up a fight against Alabama because literally, if it's everything that you just said about your team, how they take the foot off, different games, different whatever, consistency is key. If they're not able to, keep it up against a team like Alabama, they can damn near for sure lose by more than 10 for sure. So just, just keep the energy there. But I do want you and Shark Team to do good because I'm not a hater, even though I do want both y'all teams to lose.
Well, the only reason we were talking about this, like in this way, and we're confident in the Vols, is because your team earlier this season should have beat Alabama. So it is what it is. That's why we're talking as much as much pride as we're talking about. So
that's true.
I guess it's the get it off your chest segment because Trevor came with it today. I'm actually hoping for a good game, and I think it will be a good game. I think what I've hold on, cuz dang. I think what I've seen from both teams, right, it's like random, like thunder and it's lightning out of nowhere. But anyway, I think what I've noticed from both teams is like a really good offense. I think that's one thing that maybe Sharky and Trevor didn't see forthcoming, which is like I think Tennessee's offense is very high power, led by their quarterback, and so that's something that I definitely didn't see. And then of course Alabama's is good as well too. I think the biggest thing is who's going to be able to get key stops on third down for both teams, and I think Tennessee will actually be able to do so. I think what I'm worried about is one, Bryce Young being hurt, and then two, Alabama's defense doesn't look as Alabama-ish as it normally does. And I think with the environment that Neyland Stadium is, I'm pretty sure they're going to sing Rocky Top 76 times. But I think that's going to be enough, led by their Heisman watch quarterback in Hooker. So I actually think UT will win. I'm hoping that UT will win just to cause some madness in the whole playoff thing.
Tennessee at home, right?
Yep.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So I also believe Tennessee does win this game. I think there's been so many inconsistencies on both teams, whether it's Tennessee in regards to offensive defense and or Alabama. And so this will come down to, I think, turnovers and field position as well. Who can not turn the ball over as much, right? I think every football game kind of comes down to that. But when you're talking about how inconsistent these teams are, in regards to Tennessee's defense and in regards to now Alabama's offense, I don't think Alabama's going to put up as many points as perceived as well. And so I think it's going to be a hard-fought battle in the trenches. I also think, again, Tennessee wins. I don't know how much. I'll give you 10. 10 sounds good. I just don't know the score. But, yeah, shake this up, man. I don't want to see Alabama up there no more. So Tennessee, go and win this game, and who knows, maybe it'll put you all in the top four. I don't think y'all been there since, I don't know, Peyton Manning. So it'll be a nice look.
Man, too bad we won the national championship the year after Peyton Manning left.
Shout out to T. Martin.
Man, but
listen, it's always been evident if Tennessee, every time Tennessee has been good for most of its existence, it's been because of a black quarterback. So
right, and
Peyton
Manning gets all the credit, but
yeah,
hey, he didn't win that championship. That's all I got to say about Peyton Manning.
It could be Florida. So hey, it is what it is.
Might be when he left. 45. Golly, it could be that high. It probably could be that high.
It might be that high. Yeah. I said 38-28. I gave it a decent score.
Yeah, these are scoring teams.
Oh yeah. UT can put up.
They both got weapons on the offensive side of the ball for sure.
Yeah.
Watch for a player too.
To allude to a couple points like Trevor made, Tennessee they had the Pittsburgh and Florida games won. They just, like I said, let the foot off the gas. I think the Pittsburgh game, they were it's kind of one of them things when a team is not used to like consistently win those big games, and they have to learn and get past those situations. And I think just them pulling off the wins and finding a way to win, finally beating Florida. We beat Florida once in the last 17 years, right? So just survive in advance, finally beat this team. Pittsburgh, it was a road game against a ranked team, a team that you lost to last year at home. It was just kind of one of them things, like, let's try and find a way to win. They kept, like I said, they had their slip-ups like you see in college football. Every college football game I see outside of Georgia and Alabama and Ohio State, it's some dumb, some around the lightning, like Scott said. But it's always some dumb turnovers you see, right? Then go back to Skyler's point. We knew Tennessee would have high-power offense. Their defense is kind of shocking me, especially last week against LSU, how we just like put the smack down on them and come out the bye week. Last year, Josh Heupel, he came for UCF. Man, that offense he ran at UCF, he brought it over Tennessee and hasn't missed a step since he put in the right quarterback and Hendon Hooker. When we had Joe Milton, that was a different story. Him overthrowing receivers left and right. That's probably why we started the season a little slow last year. But this year, man, shall see in my name. Well, I posted my name in a second, man. First time since 2006. That's the last time we beat Alabama. If not now, when Alabama is like weakest, where you see them, they're very vulnerable. If not now, win. If not now, win. Like, if we don't beat them this year,
all won't be lost because we still have Georgia on the schedule, which will be a tougher matchup. So if you lose Alabama and somehow beat Georgia, you get Alabama again in the SEC championship. So
you just took my next point. That's literally what I was about to say.
My bad.
Ironically, the Georgia game is more important because they're in our division. If we lose to Alabama and beat Georgia, we could play Alabama again in the SEC championship. If we beat Alabama and lose to Georgia, we don't go to the SEC championship because Georgia gets the tiebreaker. So it's kind of it's one of those weird deals. Like, this game isn't as important, but it is because it's a rivalry game to us, and we haven't beat them since 2006. But hypothetically, Georgia is the bigger game for us. We have to beat Georgia regardless of what happens today if we want a chance at the SEC championship and potential national championship. So give me Tennessee, man. First time 2006, like I said, now win. So we got to find and pull this out some way, somehow.
Just like with Florida. If not now, when is it ever going to happen? So, hey, it is what it is.
Yep. And let's keep in college football. Transition to the SWAC. The SWAC.
Oh, we're going to the SWAC. We're going to some good old HBCUs. So I'll take the reign on this and kind of paint this picture for what's going on. So this whole thing with Jackson State's coach Deion Sanders and Alabama State's coach Eddie Robinson Jr. actually started the previous season, last season, when Alabama State actually beat Jackson State last season, and they decided to troll at the football stadium with the picture of Deion after getting drafted with him on the phone, like he was making a call to try to join a Power 5 school, kind of trolling him a little bit. So going into this game last week, I saw on Twitter Deion just doing his usual preparations. He's walking through trying to get himself prepared for the game or whatever, and you can hear like crowd, hell, even Alabama State's players like just cussing them out, just being real disrespectful and things of that nature. And Deion is just waving it off like, hey, we finna go out, we finna do what we do, and then just keep it a bean. Fast forward, Jackson State gets the W over Alabama State during Alabama State's homecoming. We all saw the attempted handshake, which almost came to blows after Eddie Robinson kind of nudged him, and then Deion pushed him off. So the explanation was from Eddie Robinson was, hey, this man is not SWAC. This man is being ultimately disrespectful. He ain't come acknowledge me before the game. And I'm sitting here like, okay, he didn't acknowledge you before a game. You are the op. Like, before the game starts, before kickoff, you are considered the op. And once the clock hits triple zeros in the fourth quarter, then we can shake it up. We can chop it up, do things of that nature. So if you're gonna be upset because he didn't acknowledge you before the game, then like, why are you in coaching? Because that's just a whole thing for a competition. So I painted the picture for you guys as to what went on, and then of course we saw the response that Deion had that went viral on social media. So just want to get you guys' take on the whole situation, just based on what the picture that I painted for you guys. Hope it was clear enough, but Just based on the videos and my explanation, what you guys got?
Very good job of doing it, by the way, too. Like for somebody that was like kind of barely knew exactly what was going on. Like, of course, you saw the videos and stuff on Twitter, but like you literally like broke that down. My only concern, like I'm actually a fan of, y'all know me, I love trolling, and so I'm cool with a school trolling another school, coaches trolling trolling each other as another coach. But I think what I kind of didn't like is like the video going viral of them like almost in some form or fashion, like about to, squabble, as as Sharky put it, on the agenda. Like I think that part I did like, just as a black man, as somebody that wants to see, great stuff, and great, players and coaches come out of the swag. That part necessarily I didn't like, but the trolling before, there and after, I'm cool with. Like even Deion, like trolling him with the video, I thought that was cool. But like, I think at some point, when you come together, right after a game, and it was a tough, hard game, and one team won the year before, the other team won the year after, like I would just prefer them just to be like, let's keep it professional, let's keep it a bucket. If you want to troll each other after that, then let's do that. But like that's the only part that I didn't like, especially for it to go viral in the way that it did.
HBCU's notorious for homecoming. And during homecoming, unfortunately, game is cool, but the band is really what you're there for. Let's just be honest there. Now, Eddie Robinson Jr., you decided to bring Jackson State into your homecoming because you assumed that you were going to win. But I don't remember you having that same energy, Eddie, if I could, when you got your ass beat by the UCLA Bruins 45-7. You still shook his hand and licked his butt afterwards. I don't remember you against Prairie View A&M Panthers being 24-15 and losing, and you having that same energy. However, when Deion beats you, it's different. So that's my problem. That's the problem I have with it. So if you're going to do this to Deion during your homecoming that you scheduled him for and thought you was going to win, but you lost, and now your ego has been melting. And so you want to play the big guy right there, and it ain't going to work because guess who's going to win? Deion. Eddie Robinson, we know you for your father, not for you, okay? And I'm going to leave it right like that. Congratulations to the SWAC. Congratulations to Deion for putting on the SWAC in the way that it needs to be put on, putting names on the back of jerseys because they didn't even have that years ago. But you want to put, to your point, Skylar, men on men, black men on black men, putting them down. Okay, so what? It's football. We're going to talk shit before, during, and after games. That don't mean you don't show sportsmanship and shake that man's hand like, hey, you know what? You whooped my ass this year. Just like I whooped your ass last year. We'll see what happens next year. Something. But you made it viral, Eddie. And now, again, nobody cares about you because we care about the senior, not the junior. But we all care about Deion. And it's always going to be primetime, 21 out.
We need them preaching chords.
We need the collection plate going around right
now. Oh boy, got the message. Come on, man.
Y'all ever go to church? You're like,
he's
speaking right to me.
Oh, I thought he was. Oh, well.
Yeah, he's speaking to the masses right now, man.
Even more my point. I really don't care about his father now, so it don't even matter. Thank you, Ryan.
Man, I'm gonna keep it short, man. I'm gonna just go off the fact that Eddie Robinson said that Deion wasn't SWAC. You know what I'm saying? Whatever that means. I think that kind of hits a little different too, because you do have somebody like Deion who's coming in, who's prestige as he is, 5-star, getting all the recruits, including his sons. And he's kind of, he's changing the landscape for, HBCUs, which is good. But then again, just me being salty, he is taking out the traditional routes of not playing, the games that you should play, like, the game in Memphis, we ain't got to bring up that was the last year we have it, but that's neither here and there. But when it comes to, the two black men on the field, like, I think they should have enough respect for each other. Like Sheedy said, this is football. Of course, you're going to talk shit during, before, after the game, text message, whatever, but still, at least try to be cordial, you know what I'm saying? Because there are eyes on both teams. There are eyes on the HBCUs to the point where we we can't afford to slip up like this. You know what I'm saying? If you're gonna be a hater on your own time, bro. Like we are here for the advancement of Black people, just like Deion is, just like yourself is, Mr. Robinson. Let's just hold ourselves and conduct ourselves as it. But nah, Sheedy, you hit the hammer right on the head, bro. We need to get you like a pastor hat or something, or a pastor look handkerchief or something, bro. You be preaching. That was it, brother. That was it.
No, after what he did on the last episode, but no.
Go ahead, Shark.
I don't know about that. I ain't gonna go that far. You got a ways to go, man.
Touche.
He got some prayers he need to make to the good old Lord, you know. But hey,
that's what forgiveness.
Picking back up, y'all, man. You know, Deion has his faults, right, man. I understand all the publicity that comes with him, and probably a lot of them feeling like he's probably, you know, going to leave eventually. In my opinion, only Florida State. That's the only job he would take if he leave. If he does leave, it's Florida State. I don't think he's taking another big job because that's his alma mater, right? Penny coming to Memphis, Patrick Ewing going to Georgetown. Like, all right, that's completely understandable. So I kind of understand those sentiments of other culture stuff, but all this other man, it's like, come on, y'all. Like you said, man, Black man, we're trying to get HBCUs to a better standard, better standard, getting more pub to it. And okay, Deion is switching some stuff up. I understand the tradition, but the tradition, we still have been on the low end of the totem pole, not being watched and everything with the normal tradition of things. Maybe it does take some switching it up. Maybe it does take, his energy that he's bringing over here. So they just need to just get better with, like, especially with that whole, at least he did shake his hand, but I guess he didn't want to come in for the actual, chest bump and everything. But they need to be better. But I love entertainment. The trolling was beyond levels unimaginable, and I got to show the video. Who is swag? Who is swag, right?
Like there's no audio. Oh, but it's cool though. I'm just saying.
What song they listening to?
I don't know.
This level of trolling is got to be. This level of trolling is toxic. This is toxic. I'm sorry. Like, I think that's funny. I really think that's funny. First of all, shout out to whoever did the hoodie he had on. That junk was crazy.
Right.
But that's just solid. But I think that's funny as hell, honestly. Like, if you don't think that's funny, grow up, bro. Like,
yeah, exactly.
It looked like he was doing the hot nigga video with Bobby Smurder. He was finna throw the hat. That's what he should have did.
That was crazy. That's great. Man. That's great.
Had to hit that off on a high note. But on a more serious note, back to Mississippi. We got to keep Brett Favre in the limelight, especially since he's now come out and said something to Trevor.
Since nobody else wants to keep Brett Favre in the limelight for the egregious acts that he's been conducting, I will continue to keep him in the limelight. So since him speaking out and saying that he's denying all allegations about him, long story short, for those who don't know, from stealing money from the Department of Human Services, from the welfare program here, not here, but in Mississippi. He's since then come out to deny all allegations, and he's also has still been asking for money in order to raise money for the volleyball court for his daughter at Southern Mississippi. He since then has collected another $100,000 somehow to go towards that for his charity. And this is still flying up under the rug. We've had like numerous other incidents involving, us get the top reign over this serious situation, and it doesn't look like anything is going to change. Well, I mentioned it last week because, not last week, the last time we were doing this first broke, because the governor and the former governor of Mississippi is seriously involved in this, and essentially they're investigating themselves. So not much is going to get done here. So we already know this is white privilege at work. So I'm just going to open the floor. Whoever wants to start. Brett Favre, go.
No, I think it's one of those times where like I feel like, if you're of the other race, and I think I said this before we started, like, black people and white people don't live in the same world. And if you think that we do, then you're living under a rock at this particular moment in time. Trevor, you mentioned how there have been different things going on with people or different athletes of other teams, whether it's the Draymond Green and Jordan Poole situation, whether it's the Deshaun Watson situation, other athletes of a different color. That particular part of the news gets brought to the forefront of our television or of our phones all the time. But yet and still, like, here we are, multiple weeks, I think, maybe even a few months since all of this has happened, and nothing has. I'm not even sure. I mean, maybe I've seen something on Sports about it, but maybe once. I don't think I've seen anything or anybody talk about it on Fox Sports. So again, if nothing else, shout out to this podcast for continuing to bring information, such as this to people's earways. But it's hard to sometimes to see stuff like this because to take, it sounds like what, over $250,000 from a particular school or from a group of people or a community in the state of Mississippi, which, no shade, is probably one of the poorest states in the country. Like, if you didn't like the circumstances or the gym that your daughter or family member is at, send them to another school. There's other ways to go about doing this, but like, I just think this is tacky. I think this is ugly. And to exactly what you just said, Trevor, like, this is high level, like, white privilege, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the number is somewhere close to like $70 million that's been finessed by Brett Tree. Yeah. But leave it to 70 million is also, that number 70. I'm gonna use that number again right now. 70 is also how many more interceptions he's thrown almost than any other quarterback ever in the league.
Nice.
68 is actual number. But anyways, he probably needs to throw another interception for his daughter and get her what he like. How do I put this? I'll say this. African Americans, we can only mess up once and its credibility is done. Brett Favre is legitimately messing up using $70 million, and still, you brought up a point, Trevor, that he's still getting $100,000 from various people. We know who those various people are, so to speak. And to the point that Skylar made, like, if you want to raise money for your daughter, there's other ways that you can go about it. I mean, I'm sure he could have thrown like a flag football game and raised tons of money wherever at SMU and made that money strictly for his daughter. Like, there's so many other avenues that he could have explored to raise money. We're not saying we're against, a few of us have kids. I will raise money for my daughter in any way I could, or my son, but I'm not going to take from others because of that. And that's exactly what has occurred. And yet, here we are, radio silence about it, but we'll still get the Deshaun Watson memes. We'll still get any other memes about whatever another black athlete is doing. But Brett Favre is like, oh, okay, well, he did what he did, and we're going to move on. No, we're not going to move on. Because to your point, Mississippi needs justice. They still have water looking like fucking coffee coming out of the faucets. And yet and still, we can't find a way to get that $70 million to them. Like, that's ridiculous to me. And what they need. So Brett Favre, again, could have found a different way, a different route to go about this. I wish he did. But at the end of the day, the gunslinger, 70 plus intercept, 68 more interceptions than anyone else. It's time for you to throw another pass and intercept again with this money.
It's just funny that all summer we had to hear about Deshaun Watson and his happy endings and still not a peep from Brett Favre. You know what I'm saying? And I'm going to just read this out to y'all real quick. This is Brett Favre words, not mine. And meanwhile, exactly. Like, whatever. I've been unjustly smeared in the media. I've done nothing wrong, and it is past time to set the record straight. Okay, set the record straight. No one ever told me, and I did not know that these funds designated for welfare recipients were going to the university or me. I tried to help my alma mater, a public Mississippi State University, raise funds for a wellness center. My goal was and always will be to improve the athletic facilities at my university. Okay, do it. It's just simple as that. Just do it. But literally, you steal money. It's documented. We still don't know why the hell you ain't been arrested yet. it's documented that you've taken millions of dollars from Mississippi, which is the poorest state in the country, which is the blackest state in the country. We got you, and literally because of, like you just said, white privilege, you out here able to sound like Robert Sarver and blame everybody else but yourself. It's bullshit. Let's call a spade a spade. It's bullshit. He thrown another interception, and people still gonna praise him for it. Like it's just bullshit to me. So shout out to us for continuing to at least talk about Brett Favre. But damn, can somebody else do it? Can Big Brother, Big Sister do it? I guess not if they getting paid too. It's bullshit.
It's funny how he blames the media, and the media ain't talking about him. What? He said that.
Boom. Next topic. Boom.
Like, right, I can't even tell you, man. I never like. I said the last time we talked about it. Like, it was the reason I knew I never liked Brett Favre. I thought it was mainly because of the whole how he handled that situation when he kept trying to retire and unretire. Before Green Bay finally moved on, said, "No, we're going with Aaron Rodgers," right? And the way he just acted out of that whole situation, like he just really feels entitled, right? And I mean, he's up there with Donald Trump, man. Like it's he getting some stuff, man. He getting up to that level, child. He gets his way up there. Blaming the media, like what? They got text messages. Prince, I see a specific text message. He asked if you were to pay me, is there any way the media can find out where it came from and how much?
Can't take those back.
Meanwhile, Sean Watson was getting another silver suit in the same week. Like, but that I saw that. I clearly saw that on the timeline. On as soon as that happened. Brett Favre, you know, but you know, here's what it is, man. You just gotta hope and pray that they do what's right.
Well, one more thing, and ladies and gentlemen, this message is for Brett Favre, but then also everybody else. If you don't want somebody to find what you're doing, don't put it in. Don't text it in the text message. Don't send it in an email. Bro, his clear concern was, if I'm going to do, will anybody find out in a text message, bro? Ladies and gentlemen, if you don't want nobody to find out what you're doing, make sure there are no receipts. Like, that was so slow of him to do that.
Like, so many prepaid phones that you could just buy and dispose of in the city. Like, come on now. It's free game, but yeah, it is what it is.
He don't know the streets, man. He don't know the street life.
He don't know the streets. He ain't watched The Wire or Power or Breaking Bad or anything of that nature. So it is what it is.
He know them dirt roads. That's what he know.
Yeah, at least watch P Valley. They do stuff like they got prepaid phones in P Valley. It's in Mississippi.
There you go. See.
Well.
Speaking of that, I was driving in Memphis and I saw a sign that said Chuckalisa and had an arrow pointed. I probably
Did you swear?
All right, man. Let's get the break for a word from our sponsor. Let's Be Real Media is pleased to announce we are sponsored by Ralph Brand. Ralph culture is surrounded by skate, punk, and hip-hop artists. We are looking forward to co-designing materials for this journey with them. Please visit ralphbrand.com for purchasing merch now and for future collaborations with Let's Be Real Media. What's the breaking news, man? That y'all came on.
Man, it wasn't loud. Like, you're not our sponsor, Skyler. Damn.
I was like, wait a minute.
I didn't think
JP got signed.
You got Rap Brand trying to help us.
Right.
So you out here breaking it. What is it, bro? What is it?
I didn't think it was gonna come.
And you typed it too? Wait, stop. Not only did you say it out loud, you Brett Favre'd it, right? And typed it. Go ahead.
That's only funny because I legit thought, I was like, oh, that's only going to show up amongst us. Like, I didn't think it was gonna come up on the thing like that.
Nah, it come in the comments when you said it. I guess y'all mic was unmuted somehow.
No, we heard it. We heard you loud and clear.
It's like, woo, breaking news.
Oh, God, my bad. That's what it was. Okay, my bad.
Shout out to Rap Brand, bro. Shout out to Rap. We ain't mean no disrespect, man. Get y'all
right.
Yeah.
Hey, you should check out Rap Brand, man. We about to have some collabs with them.
It was Jordan Poole getting this extension. Jordan Poole just got an extension from Golden State Warriors.
I told you. It's
years,
time to move on from Draymond. I told you.
4 years, 140 million of them things.
So about 220 million like luxury tax bet.
Pretty much.
That's what's up.
I went and done that.
I'm glad the Grizzlies ain't. Glad they ain't the Grizzlies. All right. NFL Power Rankings. Fellas, top 5. We ain't going to what, week 6? We got a couple big matchups this week between, I'm assuming these 4 teams might be on your top 5 power rankings, but we're going to see who want to go first.
I can go first. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Well, if nothing else, we know the Steelers and the Panthers ain't in these top 5, so we can start there.
Most definitely.
So I guess it's a race to the bottom, ain't it?
And the Titans. I know we have a winning record, but heck no, not no top 5.
Not top 5.
And
top 10.
AFC South is atrocious right now.
My team's gonna get the top pick, and I don't even know how I feel about it.
Look at that. Actually,
just trade us DJ Moore. That's all I ask.
Yeah, y'all can go get Victor.
Go get Victor.
All
right, so
my fault.
All right, I'll go first. All righty. So 5 was a little difficult for me. 5 could have been the Ravens. 5 could have been the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But I still think at 5, I'm going to put the Baltimore Ravens. I still like what Lamar Jackson is doing. Still, I think right now performing at a MVP top level, performance along with Jalen Hurts. Those two, it's good to see black quarterbacks, if nothing else, leading an MVP race this early into the season. So I'll put Baltimore at number 5. Offense is still pretty good, led by Lamar Jackson. J.K. Dobbins just got back, so that's good for their running game. Mark Andrews almost killed me in fantasy last week, so he's still on the team. I'm still concerned about their defense, though. Their defense isn't Baltimore-ish. We've seen where they've given up huge leads. Hey, bro, too soon. We've seen where they've given up multiple leads in games, but I still think for them to be 3-2, like I said, they just got J.K. Dobbins back, so I think that's going to be able to help out Lamar Jackson. So I'll put them at 5. And then the team I got at 4. I like what I'm seeing from San Francisco. Trey Lance got hurt. Not Trey Lance. Yeah, he did get hurt. But then for Jimmy Garoppolo to come back in, and then that defense looks good, especially that front 7. D'Amico Ryans is a really, really good defensive coordinator for that team. I'm pretty sure he'll be getting ready to. I'm pretty sure coach the team here pretty soon with the word even. So I like San Francisco at 4, and then at 3, let me put the Kansas City Chiefs. They looked a little bit better than what they did against Indy. I think Indy they looked pretty bad, but Pat Mahomes is performing at a really top level. I think their offense looks patient, which is something that we hadn't seen from them in the past couple of years. I think they were always willing to take these shots to Tyreek Hill with Travis Kelce, with the other wide receivers that they have. But I think we're starting to understand that they need to run the ball more, and I think with them running the ball more, and then just kind of taking 7-yard routes and completions, I think that's helping better for them. Their defense looks a little bit better. Chris Jones looks good. At 2, I'm going to put the Buffalo Bills. I'll put Buffalo there. Josh Allen looks amazing. Just ask the Steelers, how well does Josh Allen look? But Josh Allen looks good. Their defense, even though they've been filled with injuries, is still performing at a really, really top level. And so I think that's commendable to that coaching staff. And then Josh Allen. And then I'll put the Philadelphia Eagles. I think if nothing else, what I like about Philly is they have a really good offensive line, even though they're a little bit banged up on that side, but defensive line and defensively, as a complete whole looks really, really good. Jalen Hurts looks good. They can run the ball. They can pass the ball whenever it seems like whenever they want to. So I'll put them at 1, and so that's my 5.
It's on the right that sheet. You followed that up.
Mm-hmm.
That's a clear team that was missing.
Oh, I have no problem following this up, fellas. I'll start reverse though. I go number 1. Just because I like to be awkward. I think number 1, the best team in football to me right now is the Buffalo Bills. You're right. They're missing 2 pieces on defense that you would trade first round picks for, to be honest. And they're still winning games. Josh Allen is good. He's worth the price tag. Stephon Diggs is doing well. That offense is doing well. And then for the defense, they only got that 1 loss, so to speak. And I'm not sure that they can't be an undefeated team if things were changed. But what is is always greater than what if. But to me, I believe on a neutral field, they are the best team in football right now. Number 2, you can't deny the Philadelphia Eagles, so I got them at number 2. And I've seen this happen before, where we got a team that was a bird team that was 5-0, and then they just did one of these throughout the rest of the season. But as it stands right now, Philadelphia Eagles look very, very impressive. Offense is looking like they can come back from behind a few games. Defense looks pretty stout as well, as always. And so I got the Philadelphia Eagles at number 2. I agree with your number 3. At some point, we're going to start putting Patrick Mahomes in that GOAT category if he's not already. We all were kind of tentative to see, what does this, not all of us, but like tentative about what does this team look like without Tyreek Hill. And they have come every game, except for one, right? They have one loss, but 4 games winning. Okay, we'll see. Has more. The Chiefs are better than what we thought I think they were. I didn't see them being 4-1 at this point. Maybe 3-2, right? Especially with the schedule that they were going to go through, the gauntlet, so to speak. But to be 4-1 and what they just did, whoever they just played, they beat them pretty good. But I got them 4-1. Now here's where the discrepancies start happening at 4 and 5. And at 4, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to stand on this hill, and I'm going to say this. But I have the Minnesota Vikings at 4. Again, another team that's 4-1. And their only loss is a team that is above them, which I believe is the Philadelphia Eagles. Besides that, they might not be winning games by like 30, 40 points, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. Win-loss is what really and truly matters. And so I got the Minnesota Vikings at 4, and they may mess around and win this division. And I didn't see that happening at the beginning of the year just because of what Aaron Rodgers is going through. And so that leaves me at 5. At number 5, ladies and gentlemen, I got the Baltimore Ravens. This team could be 5-0. They left a lot on the table with their teams. And if they were 4-1, actually, I'd put them up a little bit higher. But this team, as constructed right now, and they also missing a lot of people on defense, a lot of injuries. And so that'll be coming back. They do have a new defensive coordinator, right? And I think that's taking some time to gel for them, but they cannot continue to give up leads. But for right now, Baltimore Ravens 5, 4 the Vikings, 3 the Chiefs, 2 the Birds. And Savage, you and I can discuss that later. And number 1, I got the Bills.
Jeez, I didn't expect that. I thought you would at least had your team on there, Sheedy. So I guess I start off with them. Number 5, I actually do got the Cowboys. Because this may or may not be the last time I actually have the Cowboys in my top 5. Hurt people. But that is on his way to a quarterback controversy. But, they beat the Bengals. They beat the Rams. Those are 2 teams that were literally in the Super Bowl last season. And they beat them this year. Whether or not they're the same teams, you do got to give props to them. You do got to give props to their defense. You do got to give props to their second-string quarterback who is playing some pretty good damn football. They're 4-1 for a reason. I'm not a hater at all, but of course, hurt people. So hopefully this is the last time I have the Cowboys in my top 5, period. Number 4, I got the team that I thought was going to have a better season than most. That is the Vikings. The Vikings, even though their strength of schedule hasn't been okay, they're winning. They look more comfortable with what I said, a better flow with their coach and their quarterback, right? Because that relationship matters. You can tell that Kirk Cousins, and I forgot I think it was Mike Zimmer, something like that, who was their coach last season, that just kept butting heads. Ryan just said, I don't trust the Vikings. I don't either, but that connection is a lot better than last year. And that chemistry, you can tell right off the top with like I said, the coach and the Kirk Cousins and Justin Jefferson balling the head out. I'm not trusting them. I'm just calling a spade a spade. You know what I'm saying? I said that they were going to be better than last season.
Not with them steaks he made. Nah, he ain't come back from that.
No.
He ain't come back from that.
Not at all. But as far as on the field, the Vikings are much better, a better team than what we thought. Let me see. My number 3, I thought I had it up. Number 3 actually got the Buffalo Bills. We know what they are at this point. They're a great team. Josh Allen is definitely doing his thing. Hold on one second. I have my notes up. I don't know what I just did with them. I have my notes up, but you know, it's just something about them. They missing something. It's always they missing something, right? They're still missing that running game. They're still missing a couple pieces on defense. But if you ask me who's having a better year than with Josh Allen and Pat Mahomes, which is my number 2 team, I'm honestly gonna go Pat Mahomes. I've been a huge Pat Mahomes critic on this podcast for sure. But nobody expected the Chiefs to be as good as they were offensively either. You know what I'm saying? And I do got to call a spade a spade. As far as defense go, they kind of honestly still, kind of tit for tat, but I think as far as quarterback play, as far as, the opponents they beaten, the Chiefs beating the Cardinals, blew out the Cardinals. They beat the Chargers. They beat, the Buccaneers. They beat the Raiders, even though that was kind of a questionable thing. But Patrick Mahomes he's entering in the GOAT conversation, and I think it's time for sure that we acknowledge that. But number 1, of course, I got the Eagles, only undefeated team. Shout out to Savage and his boys. They playing great football. The defense is there. I'm not still calling Jalen Hurts a superstar, even though I'm sure we need Savage on this damn podcast, because I don't even know if he still considers Jalen Hurts a superstar.
You already know.
You already know.
I mean, he switched every damn week.
He knows switch on. He knows switch on Hurts. He knows switch on Hurts. He never really switched on Hurts though. I give him that. Yeah, he knows switch on Hurts. He's been adamant about him being a superstar since before he was even a starter.
That's true. Okay, all right. True. But they are, like I said, the only undefeated team for a reason. You got to give respect to where respect is due. Shout out to the Dirty Birds. I actually plan on watching this Eagles and Cowboys game because it's gonna be a fun one to watch for sure.
Yeah. All right, I'll go next. So at number 5, I actually have the Baltimore Ravens. To what everyone has pretty much talked about, Lamar Jackson has played out of his mind. He's looked like arguably the MVP. If it wasn't for the number 1 team, in which that I'll get to later. The fact that he has more touchdowns himself than most NFL teams as a whole is definitely saying something. Definitely has more than my Steelers, but that's neither here or there. They still have there's still some issues for me with Baltimore on the defensive side of the ball, to what Skyler alluded to. They have given up plenty leads, including one to the Buffalo Bills. They could very well be 5-0 right now, but instead they're 3-2. They have to sit there. What is greater than what if. So I have them at number 5. At number 4, I know what you guys said about the Vikings, but I agree with Ryan. I don't trust them. So with that, I will have to go with the San Francisco 49ers. I believe they've had a more impressive start to the season, especially with that impressive Monday night win over the Los Angeles Rams at home. Trey Lance, of course, went down with his injury. We didn't know how things were going to go, and Jimmy Garoppolo has stepped in, and they haven't missed a beat. They still have a really good front seven. Of course, I'll give my flowers to D'Amico Ryans as their DC, as their defensive coordinator. And looks like they're just going to keep things rolling in the NFC West. Number 3, I have the Kansas City Chiefs. I think our question about them going into this season was were they going to be just as explosive on the offensive side of the ball as they were in times past without Tyreek Hill. I think that they've tried that and it didn't work out so well with the game against the Colts, which of course they eventually lost. But they've realized that, hey, we're still just as explosive. We just take our time and run the football a little bit more. We still have some pretty good receivers. Defensively, they're looking okay. Chris Jones looks like he's healthy, so they're looking formidable as well. So I got the Kansas City Chiefs at number 3. At number 2, I actually have the only undefeated team in the NFL, and that's the Philadelphia Eagles. Granted, they're undefeated. I give Savage his flowers, but it's a lot of things that has concerned me, especially with that last week win against Arizona. They didn't look too well, but they got away with the win. If we revisit this power rankings, if they take care of business on Sunday, then we'll probably have a discussion with them possibly being number 1. But they're able to do whatever they want. Jalen Hurts looks good at the helm. They're able to run the ball. Their defense is still just as great as they've been in years past. And my number 1 team, and the team that's arguably the best team in football, and that's the Buffalo Bills. Outside of the one hiccup they had with the loss, they have not missed a beat since starting this season from what happened to them in Kansas City. Josh Allen is probably the MVP if it doesn't go to Lamar Jackson, more than likely. But this team has lost so many pieces on the defensive side of the ball, and they're still formidable on the defense. The addition of Von Miller has worked out well for them. Yet they're still unable to run the football as well. But I think if they can mix in the run a little bit and not try to run Josh Allen as much, I think they'll be just as they'll be even better than they are. But right now, they're looking like the best team in football. Their performance against the Steelers proved it when they just put up 24 in like a quarter. But yeah, so my top 5 for the rankings, I have at number 5, the Baltimore Ravens, at 4, the San Francisco 49ers, the Kansas City Chiefs at 3, the Philadelphia Eagles at 2, and then the Buffalo Bills at 1.
Yep. I think all our power rankings some form of fashion are close. 2 teams that I've heard that didn't make mine. San Fran and Minnesota are just on the outskirts, right? Minnesota being 4-1. Gotta give them their respect. Although I don't trust them going forward, this is for the first 5 weeks, right? And for the first 5 weeks, they are 4-1. They had some games like the Lions game. You could argue, like, both all NFL games are like that, though, right? Where this team should have lost. Hey, you can say that almost every single game that's been played, low key. Like every game is close. Yeah, every game is close. Like you said about the Eagles last week, they ain't about to blow everybody out. Like you ain't. It's the NFL. Like these teams, the Houston Texans, they're 1-3-1. Each one of their games, they could have very well. They were in the game, right? So it's just one of those deals. So they just missed mine. San Francisco just missed it as well. Their defense is great, man. Their defense, though, but that Broncos game just left a sour taste in my mouth. That's the only reason. That game right there just is the reason why. They should have won that one. That one out. That was a crazy game. But I'll start with my number 1. I gotta go with, man, the Eagles, man. Number 1. I don't see a weakness. They got a good passing. AJ Brown has definitely helped the passing game. Him with Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, tight end, running game. They got that on lock with the quarterback, Jalen Hurts, and the running backs. They spread it out. I mean, Miles Sanders, Kenny Gainwell, and his name's Scott. I forgot his
Boston Scott.
name. Boston Scott. Yep. They definitely spread it around. So I don't really see a weakness. And like Scott alluded to about the offensive line, they're a little banked up now, but their backups are pretty good in the offensive line. The defense is one of the best defenses in the NFL. Outside of the Lions game, the first week of the season, their defense has really been locked down, shut down for the most part. So I don't really see a weakness with them. So that's why they're my number 1. Buffalo is my number 2 because they do have weakness. They're still not running the ball with anybody outside of Josh Allen. Josh Allen, at some point, him and Lamar Jackson, those teams gonna run them into the ground, and they can't carry. They can't do every single thing for those offenses. And basically, that's what they're doing. It's like at some point, they gotta find other routes to save them, preserve them some, because it's just so much that they put on them to have to do every single thing for those offenses. But he's doing it, so I give him nod for number 2. Number 3, Kansas City. Pat Mahomes been the best quarterback in the NFL this season. He is the best quarterback. He's reminding people that he is the best quarterback, no matter how much they want to try and hype up a Josh Allen or Justin Herbert to try and put them above him. He's saying, "Nah, I'm not letting the Titans go. They still got to come through me." And they play Buffalo this Sunday, so that game matters. I think the Bills really need that game because they need to get home field advantage if they want to fight to beat the Chiefs in the playoffs. In my opinion, that's been the problem the last 2 years, but. Kansas City is my number 3. Offense, like I said, being more patient. Pat Mahomes adjusting. The defense have been looking surprisingly pretty decent this year. Of course, Chris Jones is having like a resurging year. Although the roughing the passer, which was the original topic, but we'll say that topic, pitiful rushing passer penalty that he snatched the ball from Derek Carr, had to fumble, but neither here nor there. But give me the Chiefs at number 3. Number 4, give me the Cowboys. That defense, the way they've looked, period. Because even the first game. They offense look terrible. They only scored 3. Tampa Bay only scored 19. It ain't like Tampa Bay just like you know what I'm saying. The game was still in hand. Like they still had a shot in that game in the fourth quarter. That goes down. We thinking, Cooper Rush is over with. They need to sign another quarterback. Cooper Rush, he ain't been the greatest. I don't think he's turned the ball over though. He's been exactly what they needed. Just like I don't think he's throwing up hit. Go ahead. Now he has thrown something that's been called back. Then put it that way. I think he's thrown like 2 picks, but they were like it was a penalty, so it got negated. I don't know if he's fumbled though. But offense, getting Tony Pollard more involved, getting the running game with Zeke going, getting the receivers. CD Lamb has been, having his drops and things, but he's also been making plays as well. They need to get Schultz going for fantasy purposes for me, since I know other tight ends available. But hopefully that happens when Dak comes back. I need Dak back for fantasy purposes too, as a matter of fact. But that's neither here nor there. Give him Dallas and number 4. Also, Michael Parsons. We all knew. We went to that. Me and Skyler and Tuke went to that game. Cotton Bowl against Memphis. We knew who he was then, and he said he wanted to be the best player in the NFL. He's on his way. I tell you that. He battled through that hamstring or groin injury he had last week. Still had the game in the sack. I tell you, man, that he's a good one.
He legit. He legit.
Yeah, boy. He's a good one, bro.
He is.
And number 5, I'm gonna put the Baltimore Ravens. Those 2 losses they have, they literally blew the game. That I can literally say they blew both of them games, right? And each game, Lamar Jackson just kind of show you like, hey, pay the man. But like I said with Buffalo, same thing with him. Eventually, they gotta find another route. He can't keep doing every single thing. He's gonna eventually run out of gas. It's tough to put all that pressure on him. But hey, he living up to it. He slowed the last couple weeks, but NFL, you can play any given Sunday. You playing against tough teams, tough games, division opponents. They played the Bengals last week, so their defense is a little shaky. But I still believe like their just overall team makeup that they're better than Minnesota and San Francisco overall team. That's why I put them in number 5. But that's my top 5 power rankings. I guess all of us pretty much had them around the same range of teams. So there's no notable snubs.
Nah. I do got one thing though. Speaking on the Buffalo Bills, now there is a rumor. I don't know how true this rumor is that Buffalo is inquiring about Christian McCaffrey.
That's false. No, I mean at this point they like the Panthers Jr. anyway, so I wouldn't. Okay, cool.
I'm not sure how true it is. I just been seeing it now. I'm not going to confirm or deny, but I have been hearing that Buffalo's been reaching out to Carolina about possibly getting Christian McCaffrey in their backfield. So
only because half of the players on the roster were Panthers at one point, so it's like an obvious thing, and they need a running game. But Christian McCaffrey ain't going no down.
I think they have a running game. They just simply run the ball.
Yeah.
Sometimes when they actually run it, they run it pretty well. They just don't give it to them.
They just don't do it as well. Yeah, they just don't do it all right. Like Devin Singletary is he ain't a slouch. Like he's able to get it done.
We ain't having no fire sale. Ain't no fire sale.
Yeah, everybody showed just assuming that. But everybody showed just assuming that.
Nah, we good. Trust me. What I say, top 10 defense. Apparently, our blocking top 10. Trust me, we good. We good.
Yep. Exactly. All right. That's how I list that running game. Exactly.
That's not good. That's not good at all.
But let's take it to the courts. Let's continue this NBA Contender-Pretender game. I decided to get a couple young bucks, a couple young teams, up-and-coming teams, and determine are they ready to contend this year, or are they pretenders and ready in the more in the future. Let's start with the Cleveland Cavaliers. They made a trade for Donovan Mitchell this summer. Everybody started hyping him up. East Conference still deep though. Contenders, pretenders.
Let's call it contenders. I'm going contenders for 2 reasons. One, I think we saw before the Cleveland Cavaliers got hurt last year, they were at the top 2, 3, 4 of the Eastern Conference standings. You call regular season what you want, but I think for facts, she said it's facts. I'm telling you. But I think
wasn't he a fan of the Lakers? That
don't mean they're not ass. Just because you're a fan of somebody don't mean the team ain't trash. Trust me. Yeah. But I'm calling them contenders. Like I said, like they held their own in terms of the Eastern Conference last year. Defensively, they're going to be legit. Now, granted, they just got Donovan Mitchell. And Donovan Mitchell has not been known for defense. But I think when everybody else around you, plays defense a certain way, that's what's that's what's being coached in practice. I think they're going to I think he's going to be better defensively, and I think if nothing else, that gives you another punch in your back. So let's call the Cavaliers contenders.
Yeah, I'm gonna go contenders as well. To Skyler's point, they were near the top. They were in the top 4 in the Eastern Conference at some point last season during the regular season. And then If it hadn't been for injuries, who knows where they would have been. They were, and I'm sitting on the seats here. If they were fully healthy, we're not talking about how Brooklyn got swept. We're talking about how Brooklyn didn't even make the playoffs. That's just how well that they are defensively under their coach staff. So them getting Donovan Mitchell was a nice little shot in the arm as far as to help them out offensively. Again, he's not known for what he's not known much for defensive things of that nature, but I think if that culture can get him to buy into what he does, to what they do defensively, especially when you got Evan Mobley, who had a standout season, Jared Allen, who's no slouch as well in that front court. You got Isaac Okoro, who can sit down in the chair as well. So as long as he's able to just beat Donovan Mitchell and buy into what Cleveland is trying to do, I can definitely see them definitely in a top 5 in the East, or at the very least in the as a 6th seed. I think they avoid a play-in scenario this season.
I'm with you, Trev. I think they definitely avoid a play-in. There will be a top 5 seed in the East. I think Donovan Mitchell does add that extra scoring punch, and I think they'll be an underrated team defensively. So I definitely got the Cavs as a contender, especially when you talk about who they play in the first round and maybe in the second round. They can definitely be an upset playing around, but they got to be healthy, of course. You know, they were definitely one of the top 4, top 5 teams in the East till injuries happen. So as long as they stay healthy, they're going to be there. They're definitely contenders.
Yeah, I think to everyone's point, this team is not going to be a playing team. They're going to be as low as, and I mean, the lowest they should be is a 6 seed. And if you ask me, I know we're going to talk about this team later on. They're going to surprise whoever they play in the first round. They're going to surprise them like how the Pelicans surprised the Suns last season. However, I don't think they have enough to make it out of the East. So I'm going to call them pretenders. And I'm standing on this rock that I'm going to continue to stand on is I don't believe Donovan Mitchell can be your number 1 option and be a contending team. And so because I've said that before, I'm going to stand on that rock and want to continue that rock. Now, whenever Evan Mobley's ascension does happen and he becomes more the primary option, then information has changed. But I don't know how much of a jump he'll make in the second year. I'm looking for it to be a lot. Again, Jared Allen is a rim protector, like you said, Trevor. If he's healthy, you know, the Nets may not make the playoffs at all. But I am going to definitely call them pretenders, but they have a great people coming off the bench, like, you know, like you got Kevin Love coming off the bench is one. You got my man Gerald Levert coming off the bench as well, singing and harmonizing. But right now, I don't believe they make it past the semis, which means they have to win that first round. And that first round is going to be very difficult because if for a long time, it's been a while since we said the East has some playoff teams. There's 9 playoff teams, essentially, and only 8 are going to make it. And I don't know if the Cavs will have enough with the coaching staff in place and the players that they have in place to make it out of the first round if they are below a 5 seed. And so I have them as a 6 seed, so I'm going to call them pretenders for this time.
Yeah, it's tough. I'm probably leaning more towards pretender, and it does come down to JB Bickerstaff. And I know Memphis didn't have the best roster when he coached here, but he still didn't do well. And last season, he started off hot, and yeah, they had injuries, but still, you thought he could have coached them better. I still don't know about JB Bickerstaff, and that's the main reason. Coaching is always like my number 1 reason. Roster-wise, great. I think Evan Mobley, I really was already a fan of him. I think he will take that next step, and it really is contingent on him. He takes that next step. They are technically contenders, but they'll need to coach. And I think the coach is what holds them back. Having Karis LeVert, I think they're going to bring him off the bench, which is perfect. Him and Kevin Love off the bench. That's some scoring punch off the bench. I'll tell you that for sure. Also, the backcourt, I love the backcourt, but defensively, it's their Dame and CJ backcourt with Garland and Donovan Mitchell. I know their defensive system is good, which is coaching wise. JB Bickerstaff does a great job with that, but that backcourt with 1 and 2 guard, it's a Dame and CJ similar defensive backcourt that knocks them down to a pretender status as well to me. But wouldn't shock me if they do become, if they are, become a true contender though. Even if JB Bickerstaff proves me wrong, improves and does better. Because last year he did do pretty good, so I can't knock him too much. So next team, we in Minnesota now. Minnesota Timberwolves, what you got? They traded for Rudy Gobert this summer. What you got?
They are pretenders. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not sure if y'all have seen, I've tried to peek at the Minnesota Timberwolves defensively, and that ain't nothing you want to see on a consistent basis. That ain't nothing you want to see for 82 games. I'm cool with Ant-Man. You know, he is what he is. You know, he's going to be a star in this league for sure. They have a pretty decent roster, but having Rudy Gobert and Karl Anthony Towns starting on your front line consistently for 82 games cannot be good for anybody. So because of that, and because I also think there are teams that finished behind Minnesota that's going to be better this year than potentially Minnesota will be, I'm calling Minnesota pretenders.
Yeah, I don't see it with Minnesota. I'm sorry. I'm gonna go pretenders as well. I think this move for Rudy Gobert was probably terrible. Well, it was terrible. I'm just gonna say keep it a buck. Because when it comes down to it in the playoffs, you're one of those guys that's not going to be on the floor, and more than likely is going to be Rudy Gobert. And if you got Karl Anthony Towns playing the 5 again, you're essentially having your team out there that was out there last season, and we saw what Ja Morant did to the Minnesota Timberwolves pretty much in that series. So I get it. Anthony Edwards is a star. He's definitely going to be that guy, but I think what's really going to hurt them, and Dominique just mentioned it, Pat Bev leaving and being that spark plug for that team. That's what's going to take the hit. And don't be surprised. And Ryan bringing this guy up as well. Don't be surprised if D'Angelo Russell is on the trading block. So give me pretenders for me.
Cuz been on that trading block about 4 years.
I know, right?
As far as playoff go, because this is a playoff thing, the Timberwolves I think will be pretenders. But in the regular season, I think they're going to be a top 4 team in the Western Conference. I think that people are underrating the value that Rudy Gobert brings. Of course, like I said, in the playoffs, one of them won't be on the floor. You know what I'm saying? I'm not sure how their coach will react. You know, most times they do have the big on the bench, which may not be the case. But when you talk about an 82-game season, Rudy Gobert is there for one reason: protect the damn rim, help out Cat defensively. We got literally the best shooting big in the NBA. I think more threes will be taken by Cat. So you do got Rudy Gobert to kind of help with that as well. Whether or not D'Lo will be on the trading block or not, cool, whatever. Ant-Man is going to take another step offensively. So I think, you know, in the combination of a better bench, even though they don't have Pat Bev, they do got more of a better bench. D'Lo is junk food. Ain't got nothing to do with me, brother. This is a regular season I'm talking about. They're going to be the top 4 team. They're going to be a good 82 season. It's 82 games for a reason. They got Rudy Gobert for a reason. I think it's going to work in the regular season. Postseason, kind of depend on the matchup, but I'm going to still say pretender because I'm not sure how that coach will work in Gobert and Towns in the postseason when things get tighter, when minutes get shorter. You know, we've seen Steven Adams sit the bench. We've seen the Lakers sit Dwight Howard. We've seen all the big men that are rim protectors, that rim runners. We see them on the bench at the end of games most times. So I think that may be an issue in the playoffs, but regular season, they're going to be a top seed.
Yeah, that's by default though, because I'm trying to think of another team that could possibly be above them in the West. Because I honestly don't think they'll be in the top 5. They'll be between 5 and 7. I'll definitely say that much.
Oh, I can rattle off some teams for you. There's no worries there. But this is a pretender team. They traded the house for Rudy Gobert, and they did that for Ant. I honestly, we talked about D'Lo. I wouldn't be surprised if there was I've talked about this before, a D'Lo and Karl Anthony Towns package that gets some type of other star in Minnesota. Now, who that can be, I don't know, because you don't make that type of trade. You made that trade for Anthony, right? You didn't trade all those players for Karl Anthony Towns. You didn't trade all those players for D'Lo. And D'Lo and Karl Anthony Towns are not really working in Minnesota. Well, hell, D'Lo didn't work in Golden State, Brooklyn, LA. He only worked at Ohio State, and that was part-time anyway. But I really believe that trade can change things for them. I still don't believe that they're going to be contenders because Rudy Gobert has shown me exactly who he is. regular season, final season, playoff season, or COVID season. He shows me who he is. So to me, if a team's got Rudy Gobert on the team, they are pretenders to the day that Rudy Gobert is not on that team anymore. And we already seen Karl-Anthony Towns. He looked like a damn Bambi on skates, trying to play defense around the 3-point line, and left that man open for at least 4 seconds in the shot clock. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. So pretenders, trade, again, hear me out. I'm going to say this again. NBA execs, trade when the value is high. Because when they start seeing these players get exposed, Russell Westbrook, the value goes down, and now we don't have the same things on the table. So I'm going to leave it at that, but contenders.
Cuz said, I don't care if it's duck season or rabbit season. I don't care if it's flu season. I don't care if it's COVID season. Get him out of April. That was
good. That was good.
Holiday season. All right, man. Pretenders. This is shutting case closed. Hey, of course the roster, it is what it is. But shooting guard Anthony Edwards. 3 The Hardaway podcast. Shooting guard Anthony Edwards. They are starting Jaden McDaniels at small.
Blame ESPN, brother. They ain't on us. That's
shooting
ESPN,
guard.
brother.
Shooting guard.
That's ESPN. Trust me, I'm with you.
I know. And you know what, Ryan? He get to be the 6'5" shooting guard this year. That's why they traded for Rudy Gobert. Yeah, This team is in disarray. And guess who they coach is? Like I tell you about these coaches. Chris Finch. I saw all I need to see in that first round against Memphis.
Against the Grizzlies. Yep.
I ain't got nothing else to say. Man. All right, next team. Let's get to another up-and-coming team. The New Orleans Pelicans. They got somebody coming back who averaged 27 points a game and was an all-star before he missed the full season. They also made it to the playoffs after they made a trade for CJ McCollum. Brandon Ingram looked like he was taking their next step in the playoff series as well. And they had a bunch of young pieces come out their bench that looked like they are improving. So, and the up-and-coming coach, Willie Green. New Orleans Pelicans. Contenders, pretenders.
I think I'm going contenders. This one is tough for me. I ain't gonna lie to you. It's tough. It's really, really tough. Just because, again, I've said this about teams before. Sometimes, no matter who the team is, who they have on the roster, as an organization, you just may not get that luck. And I just like maybe it's the Pelicans. Well, I'm going to give them one more chance to say that they are contenders. I honestly believe this is probably, I think every year there's a surprise team or a team that maybe hovered around 8, 9, 10 seed for 3-4 years, and then out of nowhere they're sent to a 4 seed. So I think this is a team that surprises a lot of teams. Sharkey Yard hit CJ McCollum is there. Zion Williamson looks good, and there are questions about his health. But I'm going to give him one more time to have the benefit of the doubt to say he's going to have a healthy season. If so, I think if nothing else, that propels the team a little bit more. Brandon Ingram, I've been a fan of his since LA. I think this is a team that surprises people and potentially could be 4 or 5 at the end of the season. So I'm actually going to call them a contender as well.
Yeah, until I see it, I'm going pretenders. This team looks good on paper, but we need to see the finished product. We need to see all these guys like fully healthy for a vast majority of the season. I get it. This team is formidable. You got Zion Williamson coming back. Of course, he got the deal with the weight clause in his contract. Looks pretty good. We already know what we're getting from Brandon Ingram. Of course, was most improved player a couple of seasons ago. All-star caliber. They got CJ McCollum last season at the trade deadline. Jose Alvarado is pretty good. Herb Jones is probably looking like the second best prospect in his draft. So, and they still got JV who can give you some buckets inside the paint as well. So, on paper, this looks like a team that could be top 5, top 6 easily. But I need to see it, and I need to see them at full strength before I can even start calling them contenders. So for that sole reason, until I see it, I'm going pretenders.
Right, yeah. Right.
It ain't even that comment. He said it was the D-Lo comment that he compared
junk food.
Called D-Lo junk food, yeah.
That man compared him to a snack that you like. Yeah, this is a good snack, but I know it's not good for you. That's exactly what he just compared D'Angelo Russell as.
So CJ McCollum, very underrated shooting guard. I think he's going to put up maybe 25, 66 a game, which is what he's averaging in the preseason. Cool. Brandon Ingram, huge fan. I think he's going to prove that he's a top 3, top 5 small forward in this league. We saw him in the preseason. Saw him over the summer putting in their work. I'm expecting a big season from him. Mr. Consistency, JV. Y'all know I love me some JV. But I still think that this team is a pretender. And I'm going to tell you specifically why. And it's because of that doggone player that should be on the Saints still, Zion Williamson. Zion Williamson, as crazy as some as he put in, he's still injured. He just got injured the other day, his ankle. Call it what you want, call it whatever, call it the Pelicans being whatever. He's still injured. And Savage made a point years ago about Zion Williamson. When he plays, are his stats going to transition into wins? That's been Zion's biggest thing. Savage pointed out even when he came into the league. I'm still waiting for it to transition into wins. So until it does, until I see it with my own 2 eyes, Pelicans are pretenders, even though they have a great, I ain't gonna say a great roster, even though they have a pretty good roster. I need to see it for my own eyes for me to go to contenders. But right now, of course, they're pretenders.
And you hell for that comment too, by the way. That's not nice of you to say.
You said what?
I said you're hell for that comment saying he should be on
I ain't hell. The truth is the truth. He need to be on the Saints.
Well,
Taysom Hill at tight end / quarterback, they can put Zion at a lineman / fullback. They can do something with him.
and as the Saints are marching in, and marching on out for New Orleans, this team actually is better than the team that we just mentioned to me than the Timberwolves. I think that they are a better team because of one starter. I'm sorry, there was some static. I'm sorry, what'd you say?
I'll say I don't.
Yeah, static. And so you might want to turn on your mic next time. Turn your mic on. I can't hear you. Excuse me. Turn that mic on for me. So what I will say is I think the Pelicans are a better team than the Timberwolves from coaching all the way down. I even think their roster is better, to be honest. Look at, they have 3-point shooting. Call it what you want. CJ McCollum, Graham. They have some good elite defenders. Herb Jones is coming into his own. If Zion keeps with his weight contract, he's going to be a force, and that's fine. I see Deion play for 2 teams at the same time too, in 2 sports. And so I think that they are better than the Timberwolves, but I also don't believe that they are going to contend for a title yet. What they did against the Suns was formidable. They gave them hell for 4 or 5 games or whatever it may be. And I love that energy and what Willie Green brings to that franchise. And they just don't have enough to beat a Warriors team, a Clippers team, so to speak. And so for that, I am going to call them pretenders, along with the Minnesota Timberwolves. But again, I think they're better than the Timberwolves. We'll discuss the further with Tuke later on. Maybe his mic will work.
It's a bunch of pettiness going on in this episode, but they're pretenders. I do think they will get in the playoffs. It wouldn't shock me if they do what Dallas did last year and make even a Western Conference Finals, like a run to the Western Conference Finals. But they're still a pretender. That means I don't consider them a championship contender. So I say pretender, but Zion, of course, it's a bunch of big kills, but that's where everybody. Is Denver going to be healthy ever? Is the Clippers going to ever be healthy? They got the same questions they have. Is Ja Morant going to be healthy in the playoffs? They got the same exact questions all the perceived contenders we got have too. So I ain't going to even mention injury. I just say that they're young, they're still progressing. CJ McCollum playing point guard has been a pleasant surprise to me because he was always a 2 guard, right? And seeing him actually man the point and do well. But my biggest thing is what Savage said earlier: paint defense. Jonas Valanciunas and Zion Williamson. That's a hell of a terrible defensive combo. And Brandon Ingram on the wing. That's CJ McCollum. That's they found the way to make a team defense.
That's damn near New Orleans chicken down there. If you got them 3 in the front court.
That's some defensive. Boy, Ja Morant gonna have fun getting to his 16-point average points per game in the paint. But that's my reason.
Chicken down there
as a pretender. They have to make a trade. If they ever make a trade Jonas for like a Miles Turner, who's been on trade block for 12 years. But Hey, they would just pull some type of deal like that. That would be the would get them up the top. But give me Pretender for them. And the last team, as I just alluded to him, with the Dallas Mavericks, they traded for Christian Wood. They lost my guy that went to New York, Jaden Brunson. But they did get Christian Wood, and Tim Hardaway Jr. is coming back from the injury. Contenders, pretenders, Dallas Mavericks.
Shockingly, I'm going to call them pretenders. I think they're going to be in the mix in the Western Conference. We all know what Luka is. But on paper, it's just I don't have true confidence in everybody else to step up and be able to help Luka carry this team to a Western Conference Finals or to a finals against somebody in the Eastern Conference. So from that aspect, I'm going to call them pretenders. Again, they're going to be somewhere around the 4, 5, 6 seed, and they're going to, I think they're going to maybe start out slow, but then I think at the end of the day, Luka's going to take over as he normally does. But I just don't see who else on that roster I have true confidence in to say, yes, this is the 1-2 punch that they needed to get where they needed to go.
Yeah, I'm going pretenders as well. I don't think the moves that Dallas made in the offseason really moved the needle that much. You got Christian Wood, which essentially you just got another KP if we want to keep it a buck. Granted, I'm telling you now, he's good. He gives you 20 and 10 on a given night. But can you confidently say, to Skylar's point, can you confidently say that he's a strong second option for Luka Doncic? And if you have to even think about it, then the answer is no. So yeah, they'll be around the top 4, top 5 in the conference. And if matchups even break up right, you can even see them in the finals potentially, because if they have a similar year like last year, it's not a reason why they can't be in the finals. But just on paper, I don't believe this team right now. So I'm going pretenders as well. But it's not saying they won't be in the playoffs. It's just I can't see them contending for a championship. I think them getting in that top 4, top 5 will be the reason they have the run that they have, because Luka magic can only happen so much. We'll put it like that.
I'm with Dominic, and what I mean by that, I'm saying contenders. Y'all saying top to bottom on paper, they got a better team than last season. You know what I'm saying? Spencer Dinwiddie is going to have a better season coming off the bench. They still got Christian Wood, whether or not he's a number 2 option, that he'll be coming off the bench, but he should be starting. We not going to just sit around and just throw 2010 out there like it's nothing. You know what I'm saying? Call JaVale McGee what you want. He's the best at what he does. And when you got him in the starting lineup with Luka, with Jason Kidd still doing another year coaching them, with Luka having the only thing that may stop them from being contenders, and I said this on 3 and D podcast, is the fact that Luka Doncic literally played his last game less than a month ago. You know what I'm saying? Most times, most NBA players, they're spending their summer either chilling, getting their bodies right, not playing basketball. Luka literally played his last game less than a month ago. I think that may be the only issue. Other than that, we saw Luka and what he did in the playoffs by himself. We saw when Luka went out what the team did without Luka. So with him having a better roster, ain't no way in hell y'all could just sit up here and tell me they pretenders. I'm sorry. They contenders. Okay. I'm the furthest thing from a Luka fan, but they win games. They win basketball games, and that's what it's about at the end of the day.
Okay, allow me to offer this real quick before
absolutely
Cheaty. So to Savage's point is the comment. He said that for the playoffs. So when teams are keying in on Luka is unable to get things going, who is that next guy that you can confidently say that can go take you to the house and get you a bucket?
I think on this team, especially with Jason Kidd going around, Jason Kidd being around, there's going to be multiple guys on any given night. Like I said, you got Christian Wood coming off the bench who will finish games. That's 20 and 10. You called him KP, but he's not injury prone. He's going to put up 20 10, 70, 75 games a season. You got Spencer Dinwiddie, who I think could put up 6 man of the year numbers. You got, you know what I'm saying?
Tim Hardaway Jr.
Tim Hardaway Jr. coming back to a chemistry to a city that already loves and respects him. You put all of this together, and you got some good chemistry. You got some good juju coming into the season.
All right.
the Dallas
Y'all
Mavericks.
underrating Christian Wood. I really think y'all underrating Christian Wood and what Spencer Dinwiddie can do off the bench, in my opinion.
I give him grace. I haven't seen Christian Wood on a winning team yet, so I could give him that grace on that one. So it's kind of like we got to see it too. I could give him that one,
which is why he's coming off the bench.
That makes sense too.
Yeah, so I will. Sorry about that connection, but we've said this already on Through the Hardaway. The Mavericks are contenders. There's no other way to really sugarcoat this for me. This team beat the brakes off the Suns in Game 7. The season before that, they lost to the Clippers in a 7-game series. Season before that, the bubble, they did beat the Clippers, and I think they went all to the Western Conference semis. But Jason Kidd is coaching his ass off. And that we need to give kudos to that. And besides Luka, right, Jalen Brunson was there, but take that away, like this team is really nobody. Like the one thing they were missing was a post player. They didn't have anyone in the post to give you that easy bucket. And the person that was giving the easy buckets actually was more or less Spencer, going to the rim and creating shots and fouls for himself and the Mavericks. So I don't think Spencer's going to lose a step. I think he gains more time, whether it's the point guard or shooting guard position. I think whatever you find out with Christian Wood's going to work. And they have, I don't know if you mentioned this already, a rim protector, so to speak, and JaVale McGee's returning back to Dallas as well. And so that is something to be said in Reggie Bullock. He's going to make some shots, he's going to miss some shots. But this team is centered around what can Luka and his Magic do. And Jason Kidd and working his point guard-ism, so to speak, with Luka and how to finesse what he's got. So to me, I think they're contenders, and the Warriors need to be careful. I know they beat them last season, but each season is different. But I think this is a team that for sure is contending, not only just for the semis, but for the Western Conference Finals themselves. I just got Lightning as well here. But give me them as the contenders for the Western Conference for the Dallas Mavericks.
Yeah, I had to think long and hard, but I ended up going contenders. I do believe in Jason Kidd, and I've always actually believed in Jason Kidd. I never thought he was like such a bad coach, and it seemed like when Dallas hired him, a lot of it was like, "Oh, they hired Jason Kidd," and I was like, "He's not a bad coach." Now he's had his problems at attitude wise, adjusting the players, so everybody's trying to see how it would work out with him and Luka and Porzingis at that time. They traded Porzingis who was pretty much holding them back. And anytime you have the best player in any given series, which I ain't gonna say 9 times out of 10, but most of the time they would have the best player in any given series, you have a chance. I do think Ryan's comment talking about he called the Slovenia Harden was very disrespectful because I've never seen James Harden show up in the playoffs like I saw Luka show up in the playoffs the last 3 years. So that comes
real disrespectful, man.
they are. He do play like Harden. But he is much better when the game's counting in playoffs. He ain't no Harden. That's a whole different story between those two players. He built different. And that's why I say they're contenders. I do believe Tim Hardaway Jr. is a scorer. That's what he do. He's certified bucket getter. He wasn't there on that run last year. Christian Wood, I think he is gonna make a difference for him. Seeing him come off the bench, that's low-key even better now. I'm thinking about it. So give me Dallas. I'm gonna go with contender. They could make a run, man. Luka is he's that special, man. He really is. So I did. Those are the teams I chose. Of course, we got the Grizzlies podcast, so I didn't bring the Grizzlies over here. That's another, younger upcoming team. But there are also teams I decided to go with. NBA season starting this week. We here.
Yes, sir.
We here now. We here.
League pass is about to get real.
He said speaking of style play. I already know, right? That's why I said yeah. I was like, I know they do play alike. It's a whole different story in the playoffs come around. Yeah, they do play he do play just like Harden though. But of course, as always, y'all remember follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at LBR_media. Subscribe and listen on YouTube. We go live every Saturday. And you can listen to watch it afterward. Of course, listen to us on 11 different podcast platforms. I'm not going to name them all. Y'all know the traditional ones, Spotify, Apple, and all the other ones. They're all on the bottom of the screen if you're watching on YouTube. And, of course, if you're listening, that means you're already listening on the platform. So, shout out to you. Appreciate the support.
Most definitely.
And follow me on Twitter at the 1DAONE_P Shark.
I'm at _Scarlett on Twitter. Hey, y'all go get that money. Student loan forgiveness link is out there. Go get that money.
Yeah, what's good? I'm at the Art of Trevor. That's my start 5-stick. League pass Trevor about to be in effect this season. Don't waste your time watching Thursday night football. Watch Atlanta. Watch something else instead. And there you go. Thursday night football sucks.
Like a muff. Hey, shout out to y'all for rocking with us, man. At Tab Shakir, appreciate y'all for rocking with us. Shout out to us for not code switching as well. You know what I'm saying? Just bringing the people the real content, speaking it real, not having to switch up the way we talk and whatnot. You know what I'm saying? And shout out to Sheedy's Commanders too.
I'm glad you went too. It's really shitty. We also are taking a collection plate up for Took and his microphone. So please make sure to send it to LBR Media with the $sign in front. Thank you so much.
I'm sorry about to return his damn mic.
All right. Quick little update.
His damn mic.
All right, quick updates for the Alabama-Tennessee game. Cedric Tillman and Jay McDullough, the guy, of course, who got in trouble, they're out today. Bryce Young will be starting today for Alabama. So there you go.
Cool. Go Vols. About to beat them anyway. But shout out to everybody who tuned in live and made comments. Ryan, as always, man, we always appreciate you. He said he's gonna cash up you Sheedio 220
for that mic.
Shout out to our LBR member, of course, Savage always hosted 3 Hardaway. Check out their show with him, Took and Sheedio always every Monday, if I'm mistaken.
Every Mondays, yeah.
Check out my guy, man, Dominique Jackson. He's in our fantasy LBR fantasy football group. Currently, number 2?
I think he's number 2 he's number 2 in the rankings right now, ain't he?
I was about to say, what's the rankings in there, fellas?
He's number 2. Yeah, we ain't to go nowhere. Shout out to my guy Dominique, like I said. And shout out to Fatboy Fadeaway for tuning in. So next time we let you know out the show, Sheedy.
He's kind of ready to roll because he at the end.
All right.
Dude.
Hold on. Ain't you and Mel been matching up this week? Somebody got to win.
All right. We discussed that out there. Check out Started Fat Podcast, Grizz. This coming out probably this Tuesday. Till next time, though.
Yeah.
Peace.
Peace.